Is Ollie really the prototype? That answer is now a resounding yes.
Yes, you were right. Yes. He's just like, he's flexing here. Like,
Called both of those, by the way.
yeah,
Truly,
yeah, there's the flex. Oh, well, look, more Pianosaurus. Hashtag justice.
Thanks.
2 Pianosaurus, justice 4 Pianosaurus.
See where this has gotten you. It's not too
This
late.
is propaganda.
To change your mind.
It's not
Join
true.
us.
Fake news. It's fake. Phony. Fake.
Of course,
We'll
that's
even
the
be
ending.
able to save some of the
I thought there
toys
was
who
gonna be
change
like
sides
some other
out
type of reveal,
desperation.
but
Here's
yeah.
what I would say if the game hadn't already telegraphed
Wait.
exactly what's going to happen.
Wait, that's not what's gonna happen? Hey everyone, it's your friend Thinknoodles, and welcome back to Think Reacts, where today we're reacting to Game Theory's newest video, Poppy Playtime will end sooner than you think. And I know it's just a theory, right? Just a game theory. But judging by the end of Poppy Playtime Chapter 4, the last like 3 minutes were a speed run in making everything that game theory theorized true, with Doughy being the main villain boss fight, Ollie being the prototype, and Huggy Wuggy not being dead. I don't like this prediction, because so far, Game Theory's been right about everything, or Mob Games wants to make them right about everything. Either way, this could suck. But let's watch the video and find out.
I have solved the ending of Poppy Playtime.
What?
Chapter 4 may have only been released a few weeks ago, but hidden beneath its gruesome and glitchy surface are a few small details that not only tell us where Chapter 5 is heading, but how this entire franchise is going to end. Spoiler alert, this ending is not a happy one.
Well, I wouldn't expect it's gonna be happy,
Internet.
but like,
welcome to Game Theory.
I don't want it
the
to end
show
on
that molds
Chapter
to whatever
5.
new lore Poppy throws at us. And there is a lot of
There's
that
Doughy.
going on in Chapter 4. Mob clearly saw the success of Chapter 3 and said, let's do that again, but more. We've got more characters, more collectibles, and the most important thing, more game-breaking bugs.
well,
my key coin.
well, no, but you could, well,
Welpy,
yeah.
let me in.
Mob Game said, that's a bug if you have your hands full of pea coins. Sorry, sad face.
What?
I found the key coin.
P
But while
coins.
the
I don't-
gameplay may be broken, how is the game lore doing? This is the 4th installment after
Very
all.
well,
That's
I think.
about the time where the indie horror lore can get a bit wonky, shall we say. Well, I'm happy to report that it seems like Mob is
On
learning
track.
from
They
our
know what they're
FNAF
doing.
frustrations, because this chapter is full of something we theorists crave, clarifying details. Things like, what is Poppy's true identity? Well, it's now confirmed that she is in fact Elliot
Ludwig's
Ludwig's
daughter. We knew that though.
You were here, Dad, when you were running this place.
But also that might have been a game theory as
Is
well.
Ollie really the prototype? That answer is now a resounding yes.
Yes, you were right. Yes. He's just like, he's flexing here. Like,
Called both of those, by the way.
Yeah.
But truly,
Yeah,
this
yeah, there's the
chapter
flex.
is
Yeah.
stacked with answers to questions that we've had
Whatever.
for a long time. So much so that this video is going to be the first in what I anticipate will be a 3-part series exploring
What?
all of them to figure out what's
They're
coming
going
down
full
the Poppy
FNAF
pipeline.
with, like,
So
making,
if
like, a
you don't wanna
dozen
miss all of that, you
or
better smash
2
that
dozen or
subscribe
3
button
dozen
faster than
videos
Doughy can
about
smash up
Poppy
Pianosaurus.
Playtime.
Ready? 5, 4, 3,
Ah,
2,
Pianosaurus!
1.
Bro, what are you doing with the subscribe button?
I'm still mad about that.
Me too.
Wasted potential. But to kick things off, I wanted to
Okay,
focus-
what they should do? Tom, if you're watching this, make a whole game theory video about how Pianosaurus is going to be a main villain in Chapter 5, or a pet, or something. But make him, in Chapter 5, make a theory that Pianosaurus isn't actually dead. Then Mob Games will make it true.
Because
That's
one
all
of
you
the
gotta
biggest
do.
questions you can ask about a franchise like this. How is it going to end? We've
Right.
seen it with other franchises, how
Well,
they just go
it
on
doesn't end.
and on
Yeah, that's what
and
I was gonna
on
say. I
and
knew where you're going.
on. So
Yup.
it can seem like an
Oh,
impossible
Mimic looks so
task,
good.
but
Secret of the
thanks to
Mimic
a
looks
few very
amazing.
specific, potentially offhanded details, I believe Mob has accidentally given the entire game away. I've spent
Why would
2
they
weeks
do that?
falling down
Okay.
a rabbit hole that is deeper than Playtime Co. could ever be. And that in itself is a theory for another day. But Once I
haven.
finally
Okay.
landed at the bottom, I realized that we can not only figure out how exactly Chapter 5 is going to end, we can
Okay.
also learn what's going to happen
oh,
beyond that.
I like that.
regardless of
Okay.
whether Chapter 5 is going to be the final chapter.
Oh, okay. So he's not saying 5 is the ending. I like that. Thank you.
Intended for you to see. If you haven't had a chance to play the latest chapter, here's a quick recap so that we're all on the same page.
Well,
the game picks up right where we left off at the end of Chapter 3. We head down an elevator shaft.
Wait, are you gonna go play by play for the whole thing?
Upon doing so, we come face to computer with a new experiment.
We're gonna skip
Experiment
this.
1 through where we encounter Pianosaurus.
Oh, look, more
who, as I've
Pianosaurus.
mentioned, dies
Hashtag
immediately
justice.
Thanks to
2
another new
Pianosaurus, justice
experiment.
4
Doughy the
Pianosaurus.
Doughy back in his saved to destroy
Okay, wow.
this
is like
up to
4 minutes.
Type blow at the place
Okay.
going on in this chapter.
There we go.
Hence
Okay.
multiple videos.
Here we go.
But
Okay.
today's mysteries start in the place we visit the
Okay.
most
Safe
during
haven.
our
Yeah.
playthrough. Safe haven.
Oh,
According
above
to a
chapter
note,
4.
this place was designed with blast doors and its own electrical generator. In order to keep the
Interesting.
Playtime Co.
Okay.
security staff safe should an experiment get out of hand,
Like
which
Yarnaby.
I think we can all imagine happened quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All of that has made Safe Haven the perfect spot to hide out from those
Doughy's
same
arms,
monstrous
yep.
experiments like Yarnaby, Pianosaurus, the Doctor, and the Prototype, alongside our new allies. Now, we all knew we were getting an ally or two in this new chapter.
Sure.
Mob made that very clear on the game's Steam page, and once the Doughy trailer came out, it felt pretty clear who that was going to be. Little did we know
yeah.
the full amount we actually have waiting for us here in Safe
Right.
Haven. Yes, we have Doughy, Poppy, and Kissy, but this place is full
of
of
smiling
toys, and
critters,
none
yep.
of them are trying to eat my face, which is a nice
Fair.
change of
Yeah.
pace, but it did raise a few questions for me. Up until Chapter 4, the only toys we'd seen firsthand were either
inanimate.
dead or
Yeah.
were looking to make us dead.
Whoa, why you got Boxy in there, bro? Like, I understand, like you said, like to make us dead, and they're talking about chapters. Boxy Boo has been in total zero chapters of Poppy Playtime. It's only been in Project Playtime, which is probably going to change at some point, but so far in 1 through 4, we haven't seen him.
Kissy
I don't know
wants
why
to
there was
snack
that
on us
reference.
until Poppy
but,
stopped
yeah.
her in Chapter 3. I mean, I know I look like a snack, but this is not the time. In fact, Poppy is
okay.
the only one we've known who wasn't trying to do that. That was part of what made her unique. She was the only experiment to act like a human with no aggressive tendencies, at least
Okay.
not towards us. But now we're being shown that she wasn't the only one. Right at the
Well,
start
because
of the
they're all,
chapter,
like,
we
together.
can find journal entries amongst the pile of dead toys for a child called Riley. They're
Yeah.
a sweet kid who lost their parents and so ended up at Playcare. After some time, they were,
Chapter
quote, chosen by Playtime, which they thought meant getting adopted,
But
but
it didn't.
no, they won the grand old prize of becoming a living toy. What's interesting, though, is we get to see entries from after their conversion.
Right.
Riley struggles to write at first, however, they do eventually figure it out. And with that, we can see that they are fully aware, fully themselves, and not an aggressive monster. Later on, we can find
Riley
a
is
VHS tape from 2 guards
Missy?
talking about their various duties.
Yep,
we get
yep.
toys banging on the wall.
I remember this tape,
crying
yep.
for their parents. Know what we get in the north? Things. Whatever they aren't people anymore.
The East is lower security, full of toys that are crying for their parents. They
Right.
are aware of who they are and
Okay.
have memories
Those are the
from
ones that
their
ended up in
life
Safe Haven.
before, while the North is for the dangerous monsters, the
Aha.
bigger bodies that we faced throughout these chapters.
The
Reports
evil
on
ones.
Pianosaurus and Yarnaby both talk about their lack of cognitive function and animalistic tendencies. So
Okay.
it would make sense that they need to be in a higher security area.
Don't lock
But
him
then
up!
What is the difference?
That is not
between them
justice.
and some of these other less monstrous experiments.
Okay.
Simple time.
Less
As time
monstrous?
went
I mean,
on,
well,
things
Doughy
did somewhat improve.
turned
Huggy
monstrous.
is a monster, but can at least listen to orders. Kissy is also a monster. She's only not eating us because, like Huggy, she's following orders. Catnap is
okay.
kinda able to communicate. Mummy is fully functioning, albeit with a bit of a temper towards adults. As
Yep.
time went on, the experiments improved. By the time we get to Chapter 4, there are a bunch of toys, including Doughy, Experiment 1322. All of them are starving, and yet they do not look at us as if we are going to be their next meal. It seems like Playtime Co. did figure out a way to keep the orphans' humanity, as well as figuring out how to make them fit into much smaller bodies like Poppy. Something which Harley mentioned during the ARG was a challenging task, leading to Boxy Boo and the larger, bigger bodies in the first place. However, there is one small hole in this line of thinking. If these later and smaller experiments are supposed to be more human-like, why then have we had a bunch of mini Huggies, smiling critters, and nightmare critters,
that
smaller
all
experiments
chase
that
us,
are implied to have been later in the process, acting like rabid monsters? Was Harley just really bad at his job, failing to keep all these children's brains intact? I don't think so. Was it because while they were doing the experiments, they weren't listening to the chillest beats on the internet? Seems entirely possible. While Barbie exists in this universe, I'm not sure whether the soothing tones of our lo-fi channel Lo-Fi do. If they did, I'm sure these guys would be way calmer, able to enjoy all the music
wait a minute. Is this
single Monday.
Product placement? What?
But you definitely can over on Spotify and Apple. Seeing as the Doctor doesn't have this and he's not surgically incompetent, I don't think either of those explain why these new toys are still rabid. Although I am convinced that Harley definitely has something to do with why they're acting like this. I'm sure that while I've
obviously
been
the Doctor
of Safe Haven, you guys have noticed the wall art all around the place.
It was amazing,
I mean, it's
actually.
hard not to, right? The devs were really trying to make sure we noticed it, and so I did my theorist duty and gave it a close look.
Those are just
a lot of it
smiling
has
critters.
The kind of messages we might expect to find. Help us. We will be saved.
Will we be saved? Not we will be saved.
Putting the orphans to sleep. But the thing that caught my eye the most was
this room.
little side room known in the game files as the Memorial Room. Inside, we see a bunch of poppies and candles around the place.
Now, I wonder
to those
if you saw my video on like the side quests. I wonder if he's going to figure this part out, if he knew this part. Because that was supposed to be part of a side quest.
With murals, and those actually give us more insight into this story of death. There are two sides to the drawing. On the left, we have characters highlighted in blue. Some alive, including Kissy Missy, but others are dead. On the other side, we have characters including Boxy Boo and Pianosaurus highlighted in red. These two colors, along with the inclusion of the bigger bodies we know and recognize, is showing us
friends and foes.
Opposing sides within these toy factions. Blue is the side of good, the side of safe haven, while red is the side of evil, the side of the Doctor, and thanks to a special VHS tape, the side of our favorite villain, the Prototype.
You know I'm still your best shot at cracking that secret. A sound observation. Yes, you have made yourself useful.
There is a literal war going on between these two factions. And the good, non-rabid toys.
That's why they have Safe Haven.
There is one more side in all of this. One that they believe is going to even the odds and help them win. The one character they've highlighted in white, surrounded by phrases like, "We need you."
Poppy.
We've talked in previous theories about the amount of religious symbolism in Poppy Playtime, with Catnap's worshipping of the Prototype, and the Doctor's poem in the ARG reflecting Psalm 23. And this is
I didn't realize that. I remember that ARG.
While red and blue are typically ways of showing opposing sides,
we're going
white
Star Wars,
represents something pure.
That's true, though. That's the color of their lightsabers.
Like Poppy was supposed to be the savior to these toys.
She also has blue and
was
red.
The perfect toy. The daughter of Elliot Ludwig. Surely she could do something to help.
The chosen one.
She didn't. She ran away. And because of that,
but she got caught.
Those murals of Poppy crossed out. Outside the Memorial Room is another drawing of Poppy crossed out with questions like, "Where are you?" But the biggest thing we see are the words, "She left us." If you go and listen to the toys around Safe Haven,
that she
many
did.
of them
She
talk
got
about
the Prototype locked her in the case.
Why would this
she meant to come back?
Can we really trust her this time?
Poppy has left them all with a feeling of betrayal and hurt. This is where the Doctor comes back into the picture. There's a note you can find called the Propaganda Flyer, and it reads as follows, quote, "Poppy leads you to the grave. You fight not to survive, but to die. See where this has gotten you. It's not too late.
This is propaganda.
To change your mind.
It's not
Join
true.
us.
Fake news. It's fake, phony, fake.
Make this offer again.
I didn't even read that one. I had that one, I just didn't read it.
We saw shared by Harley Sawyer during the Chapter 4 ARG. In one of the many email exchanges, he claimed that her path leads to ruin. Plus, this new note is located just outside the Doctor's territory, which makes it seem like this is coming directly
from him.
He is seeing the
trying to
weakness
recruit
in the
them
left
to the red
by
side.
Poppy. And so, he is trying to exploit that weakness. This is why I believe we're seeing so many of these smaller, new newer toys appear rabid. They were starving,
they were
losing
in
the
safe
fight.
haven.
Their savior had left them, and so they were in need of a new one. Prototype was willing to step in and fill those tiny doll-sized shoes. He gave them a clear option: turn their back on safe haven, give in to their base instincts, and lose whatever humanity they had left. Just like how Kissy stopped trying to eat us because Poppy told her not to, these toys are now trying to eat us because the prototype told them they could. Eating their fellow toys and other human remains may seem gross at first, but when it's that, or dying of starvation, or worse, the choice is sadly pretty obvious. And then, if they held out for long enough, maybe, just maybe, the prototype would save them. Honestly, I kinda don't blame the toys for making that choice. I've always been suspicious of Poppy, as longtime viewers of the channel will know at this point. And right at the end of the chapter, she proved me right. She ran away again when things got tough, leaving us to die. She may not have run to help the prototype like I predicted, at least not yet, but she's definitely hiding something.
How much do you know?
When your supposed savior acts like that, of course the opposing deity becomes quite appealing. And the prototype does actually follow through on their threat, blowing up Safe Haven at the end of the chapter, killing anyone left that opposed him. But that doesn't mean that those who switched sides are safe either. This chapter also makes it abundantly clear that he is as much of a liar as Poppy is.
I thought we were gonna leave. Prototype says we can't leave. Not now, not ever.
Just like we saw in the CG5 song from chapter 3, the prototype promised freedom to these toys. That's what they thought the hour of joy was, but it wasn't. He was just lying to achieve his own goals. Him getting the toys to leave Safe Haven and join his side, it's the exact same thing. And he'll betray them just like he betrayed Poppy, which I guess means it's up to us to step in, be the savior that neither Poppy nor the prototype could be. We will save the orphans that the prototype has tracked down here, and maybe we'll even be able to save some of the toys.
I thought there was going to be like some other type of reveal, but
here's what I would say if the game hadn't already telegraphed exactly what's going to happen.
That's not what's going to happen?
As I was thinking through this whole Civil War storyline, I went back through some of the dialogue in the game, and I came across this line from Harley before his boss fight.
Do you hear it? I do. A bell. For whom does it toll?
This isn't the first time Harley has spoken like this. He's always been a fan of speaking poetic in a greater-than-thou dramatic sort of way. But this time, it's different. It's not just a poetic styled phrase. It's an actual piece of poetry. The phrase, "for whom the bell tolls," comes from the poem "No Man is an Island," published in 1624. It's about how all of humankind is connected.
That's actually exactly
400
years ago. 401 years ago.
It affects all of us because we are connected. If one dies, a part of us dies too. So when we hear the bell of death sound, it's pointless to ask who it's for, because at the end of the day, it's for us. This feels fitting given it comes just before our big boss fight with the Doctor, who says he hears the bell and asks who it's ringing for, knowing full well that we are about to put an end to him, but that we should maybe reconsider because his death would be a loss for the whole of mankind. His scientific endeavors, his discoveries will now be lost. However, while this poem is one of the first places the phrase "for whom the bell tolls" was used, it isn't the only time, nor is it the most famous. That honor goes to the book of the same name by Deadpool. Is that you?
Wait, what?
No, it's just Ernest Hemingway. My bad. Anyway, this book is about a guy from America called Robert. He goes to Spain to fight in the Spanish Civil War being fought by the Republicans and the Nationalists. He sides with the Republicans, who currently are losing the fight, and so joins them in the mountains where they're hiding away. His main companion throughout this story is a woman who has lost her parents and was taken advantage of by the opposing side. The Republicans plan to turn the tides of this battle, blow up a bridge. But there's deception from within their own ranks, and because of that, they lose some of the bombs and their way of detonating them. Now, where have I heard
Holy cow,
this
that's
before?
kind of crazy.
Oh, right. It's literally the game we're playing. Our player character is an outsider to this toy war. We side with Dowie and Poppy, who are losing the battle and hiding out in safe haven away from the Doctor and his forces. Our main companion, Poppy, has lost her dad and was lied to and tortured by the prototype, the leader of the opposing side. Ollie was supposed to be our friend, but it turned out to be the prototype.
How do they find these references?
We ended up losing the bombs and not igniting the gas as we planned. Let me tell you, theorists, when I first read this, my mouth was almost as agape as a smiling critter. These stories are practically one to one, minus one crucial detail: the ending. We are yet to see the ending of Poppy
okay, what happens in the end of the book?
As we end the chapter heading into the prototype's lair, the labs, it seems like
go ahead,
that
Flex.
ending is coming up pretty soon. But For Whom the Bell Tolls does have an ending. And given how closely aligned everything else has been so far, I've
never read it, so tell me.
Poppy is going to end in a similar way. In the book, Robert decides to go on the final assault of the bridge as planned, just with some minor alterations. Because they lost their main means of detonating the bombs, he's going to have to be right up close in order to set them off. He does
sacrifice
manage to do so, but shrapnel hits his comrades, he gets fired upon by the enemy, and he suffers an injury so great he is unable to retreat with his team. He tries to remain awake as long as he can in the hopes that he can maybe shoot down a couple of enemy soldiers to allow his friends to escape, but he knows that his death is inevitable. The bell now tolls for him. At the start of chapter 4, Poppy told us how the red smoke can be ignited and that the bombs were our way of doing that. However, we've now lost our primary means of detonation. The prototype took the bombs and used them on us instead.
I've taken the liberty of retrieving those explosives from the Foundation. Thanks for collecting them.
But that doesn't mean we're out of options. In chapter 3, Catnap was spewing the same red gas, and with one shot from our electrified grab pack hand, he too burst into flames. You may be able to see where I'm going with this. Much like in the book, our main character is going to fulfill their promise to Poppy and blow up Playtime Co. using the red smoke. We're just gonna have to be close enough to use our grab pack hand to do it, sacrificing ourselves so that Poppy and the orphans can escape. Only that isn't actually
how do we know what'll happen if we die?
I mean,
we won't know.
It is the book's ending is purposely left ambiguous, but the story the book is based on, the real-life history, that continues on. I mentioned earlier that this book is based on the Spanish Civil War, which ended in 1939. And if Poppy Playtime is following that history, our heroic sacrifice may be for nothing. Despite the good fight put up by the Republicans, ultimately it was the nationalists that won the war, with the leader of the movement, Francisco Franco, not only surviving the entire war, but going on to lead the country until 1975. 36
I did not know
years
that.
After the war ended. We may put up a good fight. We may even be able to destroy
boss fight against the hand,
bridge, but I believe
really all we know.
We'll be shown
Should have showed the legs, though.
once again misinformed. The prototype won't be stopped by a simple explosion, and in the end, while we may die and we may save the orphans, the prototype will survive
live on
and continue with their plans for this.
Why can't an explosion blow him up?
Exactly. Well, that's what
world domination
exploring in one of our future theories. So again, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. And in the meantime, friends, remember that's just a theory, a game theory.
So they the title was Poppy Playtime will end sooner than you think, but it didn't actually say it was going to end in chapter 5, which I am totally okay with. And I'm also looking forward to those future videos where they're going to feature Pianosaurus as being part of chapter 5, right? Right, Tom? You found something, right?